Welcome to Subjective Perspectives. And yeah, so hello everybody. Welcome. We will be commenting on this video, and because we are Jewish, it's very subjective, right? The things we talk about is subjective, and we will be covering lots of things such as psychology, politics, science, but a lot of it is subjective perspectives, right? Not objective. Objective as well, but also subjective. Okay. Here we go. What?
Great Middle Eastern music.
I want to say that I can't do.
Okay.
Okay. Shalom, חברים. Oh, we got a camera issue again. Software. There we are. Shalom, Chaverim. Welcome back to the Technical Issues Podcast. You know how we roll. There's always got to be a little bit of a problem before we start the show. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Traveling Cloud live stream. We've taken a bit of a hiatus. I was very sick, as you guys know, 2 weeks off. But I wanted to just come back with a bang. So we got a really special episode for you guys today with the man, the myth, the legend himself, COry Schuster. I'll bring him on in just a little bit. From the Ask Project. Not the Ask Project. I sometimes say that it sounds like the Ask Project. That's a different project, but not his project that he's working on currently. Okay, that's just a clarification. I do want to say here at the beginning of the show, I really appreciate everybody for coming in. Appreciate all the warm words and the well wishes while I was sick. It means a lot. And obviously all the support that we've had, both on Patreon, on Discord, on everything. It's been amazing. So thank you to everybody who's been tuning in and supporting the show and everything that I do here. We will be transitioning the Traveling Cloud live stream now into a new phase where I'm hoping to bring on amazing guests like COry, who's joining us today, to come and talk about these different things and these different topics. We got a really, really exciting show, and obviously, if you guys are members of our Discord, you'll have an opportunity to actually talk to COry today by calling in and asking him questions. I'm assuming that it might be a little bit hectic today because I'm assuming a lot of people are going to want to talk to him. So make sure you get it now to the Discord and queue up already now to speak to him, because I always try to choose new viewers. Now, here's the thing. Before we begin everything, I want to do the whole spiel. I want to say that I can't do any of this stuff without your guys' support. So if you want to help, my Patreon is the best way.
Very nice.
By joining my Patreon for just $5 a month,
so you guys, whoever's watching,
$10 a month, you can
whoever's watching, if you'll ever watch, you can go subject yourself to his channel.
Exactly. It's a great way of putting it.
So, because this is subjective perspective, so subject yourself to our channel as well as to his.
After every single stream, it's super fun, man. You can be there. You can also show support on Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, Super Chat, right here on stream, or visiting thetravelingcloud.com to get merchandise. But Patreon is obviously the best way, as I always say. Every bit keeps the channel going, but Patreon is the best way. And for those of you guys who are new or just tuning in right now, join the Discord. The link is in the chat. All you have to do is click that. You can queue up to call in right now. It's free to join. It doesn't cost you a penny. And in addition to those of you guys who are here before we shut down the Patreon, the Discord, our Discord is finally back up and running. The Discord is fully open for anybody.
Nice,
we made some changes on there, structurally, moderation-wise. We're moving forward to a new age of this Canadian Prime Minister, Justin. And
yeah, you can forward.
Moving forward to a new age of Discord, so one of the things up to while COry was joining us to pay attention to this now. Discord is officially open after a month-long hiatus, so welcome back to everybody. And with that being said, I want to welcome the legend himself, COry Schuster. Oh, I just brought up my screen instead of my Discord screen. 1 second. Let me see if this is all good. COry, can you hear me? And I got you. Yes. Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you perfect. How are you doing, brother?
I'm okay. Well, it's 7:06 at night, so it's hours after my bedtime.
When do you actually usually go to sleep?
Oh, I'm in bed at this point.
Really?
Watching TV and falling asleep. Oh, yesterday, I usually fall asleep around 8:30. Okay. And yesterday, I had electricity for 5-6 hours because, Tel Aviv. And there was, at 6 o'clock, I was exhausted and thinking, I'm just fall asleep. So I go to sleep at 7.
What is the wake-up time for COry? Like, when do you usually wake up in the morning?
3 o'clock. We talk about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock?
What's the banging?
Yeah.
Wow. Is there, you have a sleeping condition, or that's your normal operating?
No, it happens. It just happens.
Wow. 3 a.m. is wild.
Yeah, great.
Can't find
anything.
Also want to give I'll never be funny. Not for that. I'll be funny for other things, not for that.
Go for it.
I also want to give a shout out to Lachin for dropping us 35 South African Rand, saying tell COry I say hi. You got a fan. You got a fan in the chat. Okay, COry, I want to start off by getting into something a little bit juicy, as you're still a little bit awake right now before you get too sleepy. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, you are Canadian. Just resigned. He just resigned. What are your feelings, opinions, thoughts? What do you think about it?
He's a hottie there than in Canada, so no, I have no.
For people who are coming across you.
Oh, yes, Arabs. I don't know.
You guys don't understand how much money.
Yo, wait, hold on, just slap on Arabs. Instead of like, you don't have to do anything, and I get everything that I want, fine, okay, we can have peace. Or you can't make peace like that. You have to make peace by making actual compromise. Or destroying each other, which is what I don't want.
I actually genuinely agree with that point. I think a lot of times, and I'm not so publicly spoken about it, I think that Israelis lack the ability to see things that concessions they actually need to make to get to a point of peace. I don't necessarily mean about like giving up land, but actually psychologically like how they have to attain peace. And I've had limited interaction with Palestinians on the ground.
Can you put it on mute a little bit?
Very interesting to me. But I think
I'm
I always
on
say,
my phone.
when people ask me what's the best Hezbollah, I always point to
It's
you
okay.
because I think you're the best advocacy for Israel without even having to be an advocate for Israel. Because I don't consider you an Israel advocate. At least that's not your stance. But
Not at all.
your channel actually showcases the perspectives of Palestinians on the ground, all over the West Bank. And people can see for themselves, unabashed, unfiltered, what they're feeling. What is actually that conclusion for you? Like, what have you gained from them? If you had to sum up their whole point, or maybe some of the most popular ones that you've heard, like, what do they actually say to you on the ground, for people who maybe are too lazy to watch your videos?
That they feel that they were wrong in 1948. That before that, Jews and Arabs were living in total bliss, and the Muslims were just so wonderful to the Jews. And it's all the Zionist Jews/Israelis' fault. And they actually don't really distinguish between Zionist Jews and Israelis, which all kind of gets mashed up together. And it's all the Jews' fault, and the only way it can be undone is for the Jews to leave, period. That's it. You have some people who are saying I'm willing to live with the Jews, but they have to be under Palestine. Or some very, very few people who are willing to live either two states or one state, with Israel control, whatever. That's a small minority.
Right.
The majority of people are, the Jews have to leave, period.
They're basically like ethnic cleansers. Like there's 7 million Jews living in Israel, and they want to ethnically cleanse the population, basically. Because that's what like making us leave it would be, right? Like.
Think that
Right, but Cori just, the way he talks, he doesn't seem to, he's so used to hearing it, so from his perspective it's like, he'll justify their perspective.
He's desensitized. He doesn't actually understand what it means, it seems.
Or he doesn't want to understand what it means, because then, yeah, keep going.
Is it warranted? Like, have you found yourself feeling compassionate towards their side?
A little bit, yes, because in their perspective, and a lot of it is sort of being in an echo chamber. So each side is a little bit in an echo chamber. I think Israelis are a little less, because they kind of know more about Palestinians than, I mean, everybody thinks they know everything about Palestinians, but they kind of be more right about Palestinians than Palestinians about Israelis. So reverse the term, which is weird, because usually the weaker party knows more about the stronger party, if you look at conflict resolution or conflict dynamics or analysis. So it's a little strange. They know nothing about Israelis, and the things they do think about Israelis have a grain of truth, that'll give them, but have a lot of exaggeration piled on top of it. In order to suit their own collective identity needs, to feel that they're right and Palestinians are right and Israelis are wrong.
I would say,
So yeah,
I would say actually, you bring up a good point about how usually the person who has less is more to know about the person who has more, right? Like
we know more about our bosses than our bosses know about us. That's the.
But the truth is actually, look at it from the perspective of a wider Arab world, which Palestinians fall into. It actually makes a lot more sense. We know our enemies, quote unquote, because the Palestinians are unfortunately like the same, pretty much as the rest of the Arab world. You know, like they have more extremism on their end in a lot of ways, but like Palestinian culture isn't much different than Syrian radical culture, or Lebanese radical culture, or Egyptian radical culture. In a lot of ways, they're the same, and we've gotten to know that through, so actually, ironically enough, it is true.
60% of Israelis come from Middle Eastern heritage.
Right.
So
Wow, see the sound is off by him too. Like it sounds really loud. I don't know why everything's just irritating.
so and also like I call
his sounds.
What?
You're irritated listening to his sounds?
No, the sound of him too loud, him too soft, the clanging of your phone in the background. I know why.
My phone is not making, or maybe the outside noise. Maybe
No, like
noise from the outside.
Like you're probably doing whatever you're doing, but the sound by me.
No, now I'm being quiet. I thought the sounds are coming from you, but maybe you're hearing the radiators.
No, there's the banging. I don't know. You're moving around. You're moving things.
It's the radiators in the background.
Oh, okay.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
when somebody who's
Huh? Continue.
Yeah, go on.
Moroccan says, well, my grandparents lived in Morocco, I know the Arab mentality. I'm like, well, Moroccan mentality is exactly the same as Palestinian mentality. But they're closer to the knowledge than a Palestinian who worked in Israel and barely speaks in Hebrew knows Israeli Jews.
Yeah.
And that's from my speaking to them with an open mind, thinking, come on, you must know something about the Jews, and they really know nothing.
Semantics, everything, like, it's all details and semantics.
Right, they're not going to talk about Islam and what Islam believes. and about genociding the Jews. Like that will be out of this conversation.
I don't understand why. Like, just listening to this guy is so frustrating because, yes, okay, it's important to understand the enemy's perspective, right? The other side. There's always two sides to the story, right?
Right.
But, like, their side is just so hateful. There's no compromising on their side.
Well, right. Again, we're going to bring this back to, like, narcissism and understanding a narcissist and their perspectives. There's always two sides to a story. But when you understand that a narcissist, his love for people, his needs, what makes him be a predator is that the narcissist's needs trump the love that they have for the other person and trump any kindness that they could have or any empathy. So their own wants and needs trump the other person's. So therefore their behavior will end up being abusive. So you always hear when it comes like, oh, this takes two to tango.
Right.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
The problem.
Which is kind of true, right? Let's say someone, like a victim, is going to have reactively abused. Some victim sometimes starts behaving like the abuser, and the abuser will bring out the worst in the victim.
Right.
But when the victim moves away from the abuser and has their own space, they can behave in a healthier manner.
Right.
So
you're saying there's
also,
reactive abuse.
Right. So also there has to be an objective thing, which is like this is right and this is wrong. There has to be objective
morality.
Like this is healthy, this is not healthy. There has to be a space for that. To say like, oh, they have their perspectives and they have their perspectives. It's.
So it's basically like, yes, they have a perspective, but the narcissist's perspective is very abusive and wrong. And their perspective is that everybody else is wrong. Everybody else is wrong. They can't see from another person's perspective, and then they behave the way they do because,
Right, and the person with borderline, they will see their perspective. They will believe their perspective, meaning they can't see it. If someone brings light to their behavior, they won't be able to see it.
And even if they do see it, even if they do see it, they'll deny it. They'll be like, excuse it.
Yeah, because their needs trump the needs of other people.
Pretty much what the so-called Palestinians do, like when they excuse October 7th, they deny October 7th, they gaslight, Jews, what happened on October 7th. And they have their perspective, which is they believe a made-up story, like what they've been told, like they've been brainwashed, literally. It's like the grandfather repeats the same story to the granddaughter and the grandson, and it just continues. They're like a broken record.
Yeah.
What's all that noise in the background? You see?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just putting away the menorahs. I'm putting it high up. I'm putting this away, and then I'm gonna start measuring stuff. So it's gonna be more quiet because I want to make challah and pizza. I want to make pizza for supper and challah for Shabbos.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna measure, but my cleaning lady did not show up. So I don't have cleaning help, and all the dishes I was hoping she would do, I'm gonna have to do.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I might have to mute myself soon. Okay, go ahead.
Conspiracy theories about what the Jews can do and can't do, and just the way they see Jewish history. They really don't know.
They really don't know anything. And it's funny because it's so caught up in... now I think Palestinians are in a really tough position too, because they, throughout this year, particularly the Palestine stance, has appropriated so much Jewish history and Christian history, and now they're kind of tied up in their own mess. Like, within 2023, Jesus became a Muslim Palestinian.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Abraham.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Right.
And all these figures that send back to proper Judaism or Christianity, they now are part of the pro-Palestine agenda. But they somehow, when you ask them about their own history, what I felt when we were on the ground, at least, if we asked some of those questions, that you hit a wall, or they're literally interested in talking about it, because they don't really know. And that's after watching all your videos, they don't actually know. And that's why that rampant joke about the history of Palestine museum being empty is like actually true, because 99% of Palestinians I've seen you ask these questions, they don't know their own history.
Talk Anyway, I actually sometimes, and I don't remember names, but I know that there was a sheikh who had a certain amount of independence in the 1700s or 1800s. Some Palestinian from America pointed it out to me, and I was like, well, that's interesting. There was actually somebody who had some form of independence under Ottoman times, I'm guessing. Do you think any Palestinians know that? I'm sure no, not at all. And I feel for them, because from their perspective, this all go back to, do I feel anything? And he said, of course you grew up on this land. Your ancestors are from this land. Yes, of course, some of their ancestors also came from Arabia and Egypt and Turkey, of course.
I'm sorry, not some. Most of them came to Israel pre-1948.
Yeah, in the late 1800s.
When there was not the Jews,
In the late
not the Jews, the Arabs came.
Right. In the late 1800s, they came for job opportunities.
Or even the early 1900s, they came, and suddenly their grandfather is here, and they're here for thousands of generations. Right, like I believe that for a second.
No, there is a percentage of people who have been there, and then there's the extras.
Right.
Or whatever population but from your perspective, you're just sitting on this land and you have these foreign people, and they see us as foreigners, in big land, and somehow get everything, and somehow win. And by the way, and this is the part I obviously disagree with, from their perspective, how did the Jews do it? Where the Quran tells us the Jews are these inferior people who are against God. How did they be doing this? It's not possible. It must be a conspiracy of the world against us. So I feel for them, but at the same time, it's actually two sides in the same breath. On the one hand, I feel sympathy, and on the other hand, we have to deal with what is happening around. We have to deal with how are we going to...
Mashka, it's the noise. I don't know what to do. The noise is so... on the phone. It's like...
The plastic bags?
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
I'm trying.
I know.
Keep going.
Hi, Vezmir.
Is there noise now? Do you hear noise now?
No, now I don't hear noise.
Because I'm not doing anything. Keep going.
I'm sorry. You can put yourself on mute, and then when you want to talk, you just unmute.
Yeah, I can do that. Let me see if I can find my phone.
Oh, man.
Okay, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I found it. Okay, I'm putting myself on mute.
Not with conspiracy, not with... God is going to help us in the end. I don't think anything like that's going to happen, so...
That's actually a good
transition. I'm wrong.
It's a good transition. It's a good transition, actually, to the next conversation I want to have. I think a lot of people are really confused on you, Cory. And not that I think you owe anybody an explanation, but if you do feel open to it, I know that you're pretty much an open book, that's why I feel comfortable asking you these questions. Like, I'd love for you to take a moment to explain kind of like, what is it you actually believe? I think, and I'll play this from a devil perspective. I've gotten to know you personally, so I know what Cory really thinks. And actually, I think you're the most knowledgeable person on this conflict that I've come across face to face. Because you live it. Like, you live it and you go on the ground and you know it from a really on-the-ground perspective, which I think is the most important. And every time I have a conversation with you about this, if you challenge my opinions, I always learn something, and I'm always able to gravitate something. I'm always able to grab something and then use it again in the conversation. I always learn from you.
Right.
And I think that,
so
like,
he's entitled to his opinion, but the fact that he has, like, empathy for people who want to kill him.
It's sick.
Yeah, he comes with a video. Like, there's something off about it. There's something off.
About him.
Yeah, there is something, like, mentally off. Like, not everyone is going to be able to be completely enlightened or self-aware. But then again, it's like a natural Jewish trait to be, like, merciful to other people, and that's why you had the people from the settlements that got targeted the most on October 7th. They were the ones who were taking kids to the hospitals and taking Arab children into Israel, from Gaza into Israel, to get them treatments. They were kind. They were giving, and
right.
It's natural to be kind and giving, but sometimes there has to be boundaries, and I guess you need to have both perspectives. You need to have the merciful and the more militant ones. And I was listening to Rebecca Barsett's video. She was talking about the right, like the religious and the left, and she was saying how the religious, they're kind of like more cultish and they're more pacifistic, and the lefties are generally more, like, on one hand they are empathetic, but they're also more militant, they're more controlling, right? The Haredis, they want to just let things be and not take responsibility.
In what aspect?
You kind of need...
The Haredim want to take...
Because they won't fight.
You mean like they'll be like,
won't fight.
oh yeah, whatever, it's up to
They won't
Hashem.
fight in the war.
It's up to Hashem.
Yeah.
You know, if we're meant
That's
to.
why they were more willing to do. Yeah, and they're more willing to. Well, let's make anything to get the hostages, or like. They're more pacifistic, and the left are more aggressive and militaristic. And
You mean the secular, not the left. You mean the secular.
The secular, which is usually aligned with the left, in Israel specifically, the more, like, you go more to Tel Aviv and the people there are more left. It's a different right and left than in America.
And so
the left in general, they're more like Marxists, and they want to, like, have domineering control, like top-down control. So,
which means,
her point was...
Which means, when they want to control, what does that mean? Who do they want to control? What do they want to control?
They want to control people, and they're better fighters. Like, they're more willing to be violent.
You mean leftist
people are more willing to be violent. The thing is, because of their views,
in regard to
they have
what?
pacifistic views with regards to fighting for Israel.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they have what it takes to fight, but they're not fighting or they don't want to fight because of their views like, their views are more pacifistic, the left. So although they're more violent people, they have violence in them.
Okay.
They are not fighting. They don't want to fight the wars. And then you have the Jews on the right that they're not actually like the more religious Jews.
Wait, I'm a bit confused.
Weaklings.
The left, you said, on the one hand, that they want to fight, and they're violent.
They're more militant humans. They're violent, violent humans.
But then you just said that they're not willing to fight.
Their views, their worldview is utopian and pacifistic, and therefore they won't actually. They're less. They don't want to. Okay, I'm not explaining you right. Just continue.
That's okay. I think what you're trying to say is that on the one hand they want perfection, and they have ideas that are like, okay, let's just have peace with everybody. But then when they see that there's no peace, they lose that pacifism, and then they get violent, and then they can go fight. So they have this weird balance, whereas the Haredim...
No, meaning leftist people are more controlling. They want to domineer. They want to control. The Haredim are less controlling in the sense of, like, let's live and let everyone live, and leave us alone. Let's just do what we do. Like, let's just pray and but they have the morals of, like, if someone comes to kill you, you have to go and kill them. But they are not fighters by nature. They're not violent by nature.
So they're not in the army, right?
They're more violent by nature. They're more controlling by nature, but their worldview is not. It's more pacifistic. So if the two can communicate and have conversations, then you'll reach a balance.
Right. You're saying so they both have different. They have similarities in a way, but differences. So they're similar in the way where the Haredim are more pacifist, but the left secular are more controlling and pacifist as well, because they don't want war, but they want to be in control, whereas the Haredim are more like ready to give up control, but to stand up.
Here, we could watch Rebecca's video, maybe. She articulates it clearly. I'm not articulating it like she has done. So
okay.
I sent you her video. It's an hour long. Maybe we could listen to on double speed. But if you want, we could go there or continue this video.
1 second.
Let's just continue their Gail Schuster, and then we could come back there.
Okay.
I think when people watch your videos, maybe because you play both sides, or not play both sides, but you ask questions on both sides, they're confused. I'm like, is he a Zionist? Is he anti-Zionist Jew? Well, he's gay, so can he be a Zionist Jew? Can he be part of Israel? Is he even Jewish?
Oh, wait, look. If I'm gay, what is the connection to Zionism?
Well, some people have an obscure version on if you're gay, you can't be a Zionist. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Oh, he's gay? He's gay. Who would have ever guessed?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have guessed.
But then again, there are a lot of men who are straight who are effeminate, so... But he doesn't give off the impression of being effeminate, right? Do you know what I feel like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I feel like? I feel like, okay, you and I, right? you and I, we're so entrenched in this as Jewish people, right? For example, we're both from like religious family. We're both I'm living in Israel, right? And the Jewish people around the world are involved in this on a daily basis, this anti-Semitism and all this Jew hatred and all that. And we're trying to understand what's going on here. And between the two of us, there's like so much. Maybe it's just my mood where I'm, whatever. I'm irritable. And then it's like we're both trying to dissect
Did
this.
you eat? Did you drink? Did you sleep?
Yeah, right. It's all good. So between that and that, right, we're trying to understand this, and 1 second, and so it's just interesting thing that's going on, the energy, right?
Other people on the Palestinian perspective, they would say he's paid by the government, he's paid by Mossad, he's an informant, he's this, he's that. What is it that you actually believe in?
See, good question. Okay, so basically, I'm very Canadian in my outlook. I'm a Canadian Gen X. What am I? Yes, Gen X person. So I believe in
What's Gen X?
fairness, and we shall be good to.
What's Gen X? I'm not from this world, right?
I think Gen X is like before. We're millennials.
Uh-huh.
Gen X is. Let's see, what's Gen X? X is like those old
Right.
Gen X year range. 1965 to 1980. Yeah, so it's a generation before us.
Okay, so he's like 45, 50.
Each other, and everyone deserves the same treatment, and everyone, if the Jews have independence, then of course Palestinians should have independence. And I very much believe in connected to Judaism. I don't believe God. I don't go to synagogue. Couldn't care less. I feel traumatized by the whole thing.
Did you hear? He's traumatized from the whole thing. He couldn't care less. Wait, is he from a religious house?
Yeah, this is what Rebecca was saying, is that a lot of the right, maybe we'll go over her video at a different time, where a lot of the right is kind of cultish, and therefore you're going to have traumatized people when you are not actually embodying the values, you're embodying control. You're using religion to control. You're not actually, like he went to yeshiva and he was traumatized during yeshiva.
You're saying from the Rebbe's? From who knows? Okay, continuing.
I don't know. He didn't say.
Yeah, he didn't say.
Forced to go, I went to a religious school, hated it, whatever, doesn't matter. Never connected to it. But I love my history. I think Jews have an interesting history. And I actually am super interested in the archaeology and the ancient history and the
There's a lot of Jewish people like that. There's a lot of Jewish people like that. A lot of the secular people in Israel, they're very... It irritates me in a way where they're like so... They really don't care about the tradition, the laws. They don't even believe in God. They're just kind of... Oh yeah, I like the history. I like the archaeology. Exactly what he said. And
Yeah, but
they'll go fight in a war.
Right. But
They're willing to go fight in a war and die in a war, but they're not willing to actually believe in anything more than... They're just too... They're very, out of it. They're not into the whole spirit. They're not very spiritual. A lot of them are just very... They just don't care. They don't care for spirituality.
Yeah, but then most people in general are secular. Like, there's Christian religious people, but in general, the world is veering towards secularism. And Jews being secular specifically has been a relatively new thing for the last 300 years. Before that, all Jews were, if you were to be Jewish, you would be Orthodox Jewish, or you would be lost. You would be intermarried.
Right.
And lost. So this whole secular Jews are not religious. It's a new thing. But it's also because people are not, if you're not educated in a proper way, and you're only educated either by being controlled and traumatized, like Gail Schuster, through religion, people using religion to control.
Yeah.
Or
they have a bad attitude,
a
judgmental attitude.
But again, throughout history, there always been the minority of Jews were the righteous or the ultra-Orthodox. It was
Right.
always a minority. Even when Jews were living in Israel, most Jews were just farming their land, and most of them were serving idols, and then you had to have the prophets come and say, you're going to die, that's fine, we'll try to repent, like, you're going to die, I'm telling you, you're going to die, you know?
Right.
So,
You're saying even back in the times of like Yeshayahu and all these
it's really hard.
Jews were just doing their own thing.
It's really hard to be religious. Okay, somebody explain this. That to behave like an Orthodox Jew and like be part of like a high demanding religion, it's like being a pro athlete. You're a professional athlete. Like you have to be training. It's labor intensive.
It is.
So most people are not going to be a professional athlete.
Exactly.
And so most Jews are not going to be Orthodox Jews. It's not for everyone, and not everyone needs to be that way. You know?
As long as they
That's
just
what
marry
it's about.
into the tribe and try to just continue doing.
Yeah, it's about having their own spiritual. Basically, everyone's supposed to have their own spiritual experience.
Right.
Yeah, you could continue.
Okay.
Came from how we were connected to over 2,000 years ago, how we moved apart. Like, that to me, knowing the genetics of each person, are we related, are we not related? I don't actually care if you and I are genetically related. I don't care. I have an adopted brother and an adopted son. But no, of course we're not genetically related. They're still my brother and my son. You still have that. But I think it's interesting where people come from and what the history is. And I love my history. I actually think we have very interesting history. I also think, on the other end, we Jews are a little bit self-obsessed. We think the world's always against us. Turns out.
They are. They are. We're not self-absorbed. We're just living in reality. Like, I think it's very deranged of him to say such a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's deranged. What he's saying.
Yeah, like.
Why is he saying? Oh,
Yeah,
it's
most Jews want to live and let live. We just don't want to have to take care of all the other people. But unfortunately, the world is forcing Jews to
have
they're
it.
saying you gotta by giving us all the attention. They're basically saying like you have to do stuff. Like they're basically giving Jews responsibility by giving us attention.
Exactly. And for him to say, oh, we're self-obsessed, I think it's this... He has everything twisted. It's irritation that he thinks this way. Everything is, like, twisted and upside down in his head. The way he, like, phrases things and rationalizes things and says things about the people. It's like... What cliff did this guy fall off of? You know what I'm saying?
It's a little weird, and I don't understand why the world. And I know the reasons. It's the Bible, because it's Judeo-Christian, blah, blah, blah. I know the reasons, but I think it's weird. But at the same time, I like my history and my culture, and I'm a little obsessed with it, but it's mine. All these people these Christians, no offense Christians, I respect you, fine.
Wait a second.
And I very much believed in, connected to Judaism. I don't believe in God, I don't listen to God, couldn't care less, I feel traumatized by the whole thing. I was forced to go, I went to a religious school, hated it, whatever, doesn't matter. Never connected to it. But I love my history. I think Jews have an interesting history. And I actually am super interested in the archaeology and the ancient history and the history of my people, where I came from, where you came from, how we were connected over 2,000 years ago, how we moved apart. Like that to me, knowing the genetics of each person, are we related, are we not related? I don't actually care if you and I are genetically related. I don't care. I have an adopted brother and an adopted son. But no, of course we're not genetically related. They're still my brother and my son. You still have that. But I think it's interesting where people come from and what the history is. And I love my history. I actually think we have very interesting history. I also think, on the other end, we Jews are a little bit self-obsessed. We think the world's always against us. Turns out. Very true. It's a little weird, and I don't understand why the world. And I know the reasons. It's the Bible, because it's Judeo-Christian, blah, blah, blah. I know the reasons, but I think it's weird. But at the same time, I like my history and my culture, and I'm a little obsessed with it, but it's mine. All these people these Christians, no offense Christians, I respect you, fine, but that they're all a little obsessed with Israel is weird to me. It's nice to get any attention, everybody likes attention, it's a little weird. In the same way that I see all these students who are pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestinian, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but what does he mean? There are Christians who hate us, like Candace Owens, and then you have Christians who love us, right? But it's for their own weird thing. So, what's he saying? Like, the whole thing is weird? Like, Or is it just one side which he finds more gross and weird? You know what I'm saying?
It's really nice. You're Palestinian. It feels good to be noticed. Finally, Palestinians are being noticed. It is weird that people are kind of cosplaying or doing whatever they're doing around the world for Jews and Palestinians, and everyone has a team. Part of me wants to say, leave us alone. We got enough issues. Let us deal with each other. But I don't think we're dealing with each other very well. So, what in my beliefs? I guess those are my beliefs. I love my history. I would like to say I love my people, but they drive me bonkers. These people, like Israelis, holy crap.
So why does he live? So why does he live here? Go back to Canada. You know what I mean? But it looks like he means it in a good way. Like they drive him crazy, but you know, okay, it's in good humor, right?
We should talk Israelis. That's both Israeli. Yeah, like we both been Israeli for a good part of our life.
I understand it. Well, I just was talking to a friend of mine who's also the same guy who's like talking about he's like he was American, and he's now in a European country, and he's like he has the same reaction. He suddenly turned into an Israeli when he was like challenged by someone in that country, and he suddenly acted like Israeli. And he's like, I'm full of crap. What can I tell you? I was criticizing them, and I did the exact same thing. Yeah. As long as you're aware, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being full of crap. As long as you're aware, that's my thing.
So would you consider yourself a Zionist in the classic term?
Zionist? Sorry, I should say that. Yes, I would say absolutely a Zionist in the sense of. If you would ask me in 1947, am I a Zionist? I would have said, what do we need? What do we need a country for? The British are wonderful. I would have been that person. I would have been like, the British are so cultured. We need their parliament. We need them to rule us. Because we can rule ourselves. We're a bunch of people who know nothing. That's what I would say. Like, as soon as Israel happened and other countries recognized Israel as a country, then Israel exists, period. So I'm a Zionist in that I want my country to exist. I want Jews to be safe. Whatever makes that happen, to a certain extent. Meaning, I'm not willing to go kill every Palestinian, not that people are advocating for this exactly, but just to keep my people safe. So, there's obviously limits. I also don't think, I'm a classic, like from the two states.
He's not a balanced individual. He's crazy.
Right, the fact that he's saying that, like, okay, there are going to be a tiny minority of crazy people who will advocate to kill Mabait Arabi, kill all the Arabs.
Yeah.
There's going to be a small percentage, but they
don't really mean it.
Unlike in the Muslim world, where the violent minority makes a difference, the violent minority within Israel gets punished. They will go to jail.
Right, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too.
The violent minority in Islam is celebrated, and that's the difference. So he's a little disingenuous there, or he's emotionally blocked. There's something
off.
Is blocking his self-awareness. There's something off.
To say such a thing.
His self-awareness.
Like, who wants to kill every Arab in this area? Nobody.
Again, the people who have those views will be punished for those views within Israel.
Exactly. It's just disturbing that he says such a thing. Like, how could he say such a thing? First of all, it's dishonest. Second of all, he is making Jews look really bad. Worse than we already look, you know? And what's more disturbing is that he's lying. It's not the truth. Most Israelis, they just want to be safe. They want to win, fight off the enemy, and make sure that they're in their place, that they know if you try to kill us, then you will be killed. But they don't want to go and do a whole thing like he's saying, like, there's something off with him.
Solution era the person ruled. And so when I'm in the West Bank, I'm like, I think Israel is full of crap. You're living in the Lulu land, where you think once the settler idea is once the Arabs understand that the Jews are good for the Arabs, it'll all be fine. That's the dominant narrative in the West Bank.
That's not.
And I think that's the.
I guess we could say that's the dominant thing, because that's from his understanding. But my understanding, living in the settlements, is that a lot of the settlers, they don't have any hatred towards the Arabs. A lot of them actually want to be friends with them, but with limits, and they have this.
Alright, so he is saying that, like the settlers say, like once the Arabs are educated, that living with us is going to make your life better. But I guess it has to start with the education system. But yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, from my experience living here in Judea and Samaria, is that the settlers, they just want to be respected. That's all. Like, don't fuck with us, then we won't fuck with you. That's the attitude. And there is this, like, the pioneers that I know, they basically, when they see an Arab, they show respect, they acknowledge them, Say hello.
Maybe finish eating and then continue. Finish eating and then
Okay.
continue talking.
Okay, now I'm finished.
Yeah, I have something called misphonia where
Yeah.
I just can't handle the sound of chewing, even though I chew loudly. Go figure.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm done. It's so funny. I'm telling you. We're both in this weird mood. Okay. So what I'm saying is, like, the settlers, they're not, like, hostile people. They just need to show strength in order for the Arabs to back off, because if they don't, they'll be slaughtered. That's just the way it is, you know?
Polluted. So I think if I believe Israelis deserve self-determination, Jews deserve self-determination, why do Palestinians deserve the same thing? The problem is, you go to the Palestinian side, and they're like, we don't give a shit about self-determination. We want our land back. Period. They're focusing on something very different.
Hyphen kills Jews also. Like, they
Well,
want
it's not just, it's not about killing Jews, it's about getting the Jews to leave.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
And look, this is
Yeah,
a
and
value.
if he's
Yeah.
not going to bring up the doctrine of killing Jews at the end of times, he's being disingenuous. If he's not going to bring up Islam as the reason, the source for the fighting. If he
Right.
doesn't bring that up, then there's no one to talk to. There is no one to talk to because this is why they do what they do.
Because it's a religious thing. They're very deeply religious, the Muslims.
Yeah, they can't have the Jews here. They can't.
It goes against their Quran.
Yeah, if you listen to Apostate Prophet, the reason he won that debate was because he brought that up at the start. There will come a time when the Jews... I remember the first time I heard that, I was probably like 17 or 18, around the time of Gush Katif,
Yeah.
when they were doing the disengagement. So, I mean, my first experience with the violence, like really understanding the violence of the war is, I don't know why, but they had this video about the soldier the Israeli soldier that wandered into the Arab territory.
Right, the Ramallah.
And outside 770, some risky shui she would sell her wares,
Mm-hmm.
and she had that video on repeat of the Arab people, the Arab teenagers holding their bloody hands up after
Right.
they killed the soldier.
They basically tore the organs.
She had it on repeat.
Yeah, they tore the organs out of the body, and they
Right,
threw
the
it over.
Arabs. Yeah, because the soldier accidentally
Wandered
went into
in.
their area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you see that, you say, okay, this is not normal. This is something beyond, like, this is evil.
Yeah. But even then it didn't sink in, because you see the gore and the blood and everything, and you see them behaving in a way, but it just doesn't register. It does register, but it's like, unless you... Well, does it register? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it obvious that there's one side that's behaving in it just not. There's no logic there. They're detached from what normal human behavior is.
Because you never ever
side.
see, like, you will never see Jews acting like that. If an Arab comes into, like, a settlement, the most that will happen to them, they'll be asked to show their ID, where they're going, where they're coming from, and they will help them get to where they need to get, right? Unless they pull out a knife,
And
right?
There's always, in every society, you have millions of people. There are going to be violent individuals, and the difference is what happens to them. They will be punished.
Right, but it's rare. It's very rare. The whole idea of settler violence.
It is very rare.
It's a made up. It's a myth.
Right.
It happens once in a blue moon.
Right.
Like,
Right.
literally.
You could take a minute and show the video of the handicapped people, and
Oh.
this shows who the Israelis really are. This is what Israelis are focusing their energy on this.
Right.
On giving and caring for the vulnerable people. So, to say, oh, Israelis are like these horrible baby killers, it's really funny.
I think it's not even funny. It's just wicked, right? Okay, special needs sing in Israel. See if you can find it. Oh, here. It's on this other guy, JTV. Right? I wish I could find the original audio, the original video, but okay, we'll do JTV, right? Okay.
ברית החדשה, בטח ספר כל כך רדוד, עברית גרועה, שקרים היסטוריים, יודעים טעם שלנו לפחד מה...
This really is so beautiful that I had to share it with you. This is Omer Adam, a very famous Israeli singer, who is singing with what's called the Great in Uniform, which is a remarkable program with the IDF that integrates young adults with disabilities into the Israeli military, providing them with meaningful roles and responsibilities. And it's not just about inclusion, it's about empowering individuals who might otherwise be sidelined by society and allowing them to contribute to one of Israel's most vital institutions. And as this person on Twitter said, the program also speaks volumes about the IDF's values.
Yeah.
Beyond its role as a defence force, the IDF is a
Very
melting pot
touching.
of great society, where people from diverse backgrounds come together, showing the IDF not only values security, but also human dignity, inclusion and empowerment. And it stands as a powerful example of how a nation treats its citizens by giving everyone the chance to make a meaningful contribution. And here they sing a song, a beautiful song, pleading with God to watch over his children. I'll post the lyrics below this video in the video description and in the comment section. But for now, I'll leave it to play the video so you can watch this beautiful, beautiful rendition
Okay,
sung
let's go see that.
with these very special IDF soldiers. Have a watch.
So cute.
הוא היושב לו נשאר במרומים, הוא הרופא כל חולים, הוא הנותן רוב שמחה לילדים, הוא העושה משפטים,
Sweet.
הוא בשמיים והוא היחיד, הוא הגדול הנורא, הוא השומר עלינו מצרה.
Oh, so cute. Everyone wants to go out.
You want to finish it, or I don't know?
It's cute. Very cute. These are
Right. The point is
Yeah.
that these individuals are the vulnerable is protected in Israel. It's not about the values
Right.
are to protect the vulnerable. And so you say, "Oh, you're baby killer," like that. Like it's so.
It's an
opposite
insult.
of-
It's an insult to our intelligence to say such a thing.
Yeah, because like the most of the people, you're gonna have. There's only a small percentage of bad people in any.
Of course, yeah. There, like a few
But
months
in
ago,
general,
there was
it's like if you go to Kenya, yeah.
like there was a commander a few months ago that was a creep, and all the girls that were under his control, right? He was videoing them in the showers, and he was videoing them they didn't know, and he was in the bathrooms putting his phone up their stalls, and he got arrested. He's like a creep, so creepy.
I mean, there might be a delayed response. I don't always respond right away because if I'm on mute, then I have to unmute myself. But
okay. Yeah, so they usually arrest them, and the thing about being in Israel is that women are a protected species in this country. Like, literally, women are they really want to help. Like, if you go to the police for help, they will try to help you as much as they can. They won't and the people in the street, if they see a girl's in trouble, if there's relationship problems, they'll stop what they're doing, and they will try to, if they see someone's in distress, they'll try to help, And the women have a lot of power, so there's a lot of women who have guns, right? And they will try to interfere, So that's something nice about this society.
Right. You can see how women are treated about the society.
Yeah. So that's what I love about this country, You can walk in the middle of the night and you're fine. Most of the time, unless, you get into a bad situation. But even then, there will always be... But the interesting thing is that I find that the secular people in Israel are more likely to be... The women are more empathetic, generally speaking, from other people who are from a religious community somehow. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm
that's where Rebecca is saying. No, Rebecca is saying that the more when you get to ultra orthodox, ultra, where you're going beyond the letter of the law and you're using religion to control, you people have to shut their brains. That's why parents will cut off their children if they're not religious. Because shut your brains.
But even
shut your brains, shut your emotions.
But you know who I'm talking about, Litvish, not just the ultra orthodox Hasidic. I'm talking about.
Litvish. They also behave in the Haredi way. B'nai Brak is Litvish.
They just don't seem to have
is where
that.
They tear off in B'nai Brak. They tear off the signs the Chatufim, they tear off the signs. An advertisement with a female, they'll tear it off,
right?
Because it's offensive to them to see a woman. So they're kind of getting into cult where they're not using their brains. They're acting like lunatics. It's not healthy.
Overly zealous.
Yeah,
lunatics.
They're going towards Islamism.
Above the letter of the law.
But it's not Judaism.
Exactly. It's not Judaism to erase women.
It's not Judaism to control people in such such an extreme way. There needs to be a balance. That's why if we could have conversations and unity, you'll have the right bringing traditions, then you'll have the left to come and talk to them and create balance.
Right.
So.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Go on.
Disagree. For example, me and Corey have talked about this plenty of times. I don't believe in the two-state solution. I don't think that it can work. I also don't really believe in Palestinian self-determination. I just think that it would devolve into oppression of other people. But that's the nice thing about, I think a lot of Jews and Israelis take an opportunity to make this known. When you come here, there is no monolithic opinion on any of this. Every single Jew who asks will have a different opinion that's slightly varied on each one.
That's what makes it so difficult, because everybody has their own opinion, and it's just nobody can agree on. Okay, I guess people can agree on most things, but basically...
You need to have dialogue. You need to have open-mindedness. You need to have healing. That's Mashiach. Mashiach is healing people, being open-minded to listen to each other, being self-aware. Self-awareness is Mashiach.
That's going to that. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like we're it's really extreme as well. It's oh, do people even know what Mashiach is? Right? I guess it's the end of time. It's utopia. Utopia, exactly. Okay.
The Messianic era is talking about utopia, where the wolf will lie with the sheep, It's next level of if humans can find balance within each emotion. So instead of being totalitarian, you have a balance between rules and kindness. You have to have that balance. You need to have kindness with boundaries, and you need to have kindness. Yeah, so kindness with boundaries, and you need to have enough empathy together with the boundaries. Otherwise, you go to abuse.
Right.
So,
right. I guess that's something that. Yeah.
Meaning Marxism, it's utopian. It's a nice idea, but it's just we're not there yet.
Right. Yeah, but then again, when I think about communism, for example, when you just look at it from far, then you can say, oh, it seems like a nice idea, but then when you get into it, it's basically not allowing anybody to be excellent, to excel, or to have more than what you have. So in essence, it's evil because they try to limit people and to take away that which a person earned. They want to take it away from them. They don't want to allow them to have more, which I think it's very selfish. The communist idea to take away from people in order to make everyone else happy.
Right, but the way the true ideal communistic ideas, how it's sold is that everyone will be equal.
Yeah, and everyone will be happy.
Healthcare. Everyone will have healthcare. Everyone will have guaranteed salary.
Right.
Everyone will have everything. It's just human nature doesn't allow. Power corrupts. So you have people. Hierarchy still exists. Well, it exists in nature, and
right.
Whatever. We're not going to solve that right now, but we could go back.
Okay. Well.
The more mainstream, some opinions that are a little bit less, but overall, you don't have to think. And this is what drives me crazy about Arab/Muslim society. And I saw it when I was with you in Ramallah when we were asking people. It felt like zombie, like brain dead. Like just everybody has to think the exact same way. You don't get a varied opinion. Everyone thinks exactly in the same manner.
Exactly.
It drives me crazy because what kind of society? How can you progress as a society if you don't have the freedom of ideas? How can you move forward? How can you pick yourself up by the bootstraps and do something with yourself if you can't actually think for yourself?
That's why the Muslims only developed 10, not even 10, about 9 things in 1,000 years. They only started to use the toilets 50 years ago, so that says a lot about the society. But it's all about the Quran, because the Quran makes them brain dead.
Well, I think privately they're more open to a lot of ideas. I don't know about Israel necessarily, but in general. But I can't do privately, right? I'm walking around with camera giving people 5 minutes to say, can you explain what you think about something? And what they're thinking in their minds is, on the Palestinian side, is what will my family think of this? Will I get arrested by the Israelis? Will I get arrested by the Palestinian Authority?
Right.
That's what they're thinking.
That's
right?
true.
On the Israeli side, it's slightly a different focus, but still. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible.
To be honest, I don't think they care much about getting arrested by the IDF because, like, anybody can have an opinion in Israel, even in so-called Palestine, as long as they don't threaten to explode people, right? That's the only time they need to be afraid if they're involved in some sort of activity which is gonna try to blow people up. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, they Hassan Youssef, that guy, his father was Hamas. He didn't say the Israeli prisons were perfect, but he said that he became more on the Israeli side when he witnessed the cruelty of his own people.
But I don't get it.
The Israelis were just...
How?
Israelis weren't treating them cruelly.
Right, they were just in prison, and somehow the Muslims in the prisons would go to other Muslims, and they would torture them to death, and then their body would be exposed, and they don't know how they did it, right? Like, from what I understand. And it's surprising to me, because I'm like, doesn't Israel have, like, cameras in there, and to check on the prisoners to see what exactly happens to them? How could it be that they get tortured, dismembered, and...
Maybe it's a lack of resources. Maybe they don't have enough resources. You're saying how are they getting away with it? How are they getting away with prisoners torturing each other?
Torturing each other and also killing each other and getting rid of the body.
Right, I don't know.
That's like I saw
Question.
a documentary about it, about the Arabs in Israeli prisons, and they have a really good life. They're really free. Literally, they have their own thing. They have their things they do. They have their TV. They have phones. They have everything. For what prisoners are like them are supposed to be having, they have too much, and so maybe with that freedom, that's why they're able to. Within those walls, they're able to do bad things to each other.
Right. So yeah, I don't have the answer to that.
I think to me that's something to do with Arab Islam, of this idea of everyone has to think exactly the same way, and if you're forced into it. I don't know, not an expert on that, but that seems to be, because I speak to Christians, and it seems to be slightly different. I mean, they're not supportive of Israel. There are some, but the majority are not. They're just as anti-Israel as Muslims, but they're just not willing to use violence. It's just not their way.
Yeah.
So it's just different. And then we're open.
He's saying the Palestinian Christians, right? The Arab Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into thinking in different ways.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't directly contradict their religious or cultural beliefs. Which
You
is
know,
everything. I mean,
it's a good thing that this maniac is not in charge of any IDF and any, government position, because people like him would probably cause Israel to crumble within,
Well, there are many, many people who are still in power, who there was the first generation after the Holocaust, they understood what they needed to do. Then there was the next generation they had 20 years of peace, and they were apologetic, and therefore
Right.
they had this perspective, you just need to appease the terrorists and you get and you'll have stuff. And those people are still in power. That's why Israel is not winning as fast as they could.
That's what they call the deep states, right?
I don't know anything about deep state. I'm not going there. That's like conspiracy theory. I'm
No,
not going to deep state.
it's basically like Jonathan Pollard says, it's people who've been in power for a long time and that have influence, and like there's nepotism and they're still in power and they have their seats and they're not letting go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what we mean by deep state, right?
Well, I don't know anything about deep state, but I will say that this is the problem. Like, this is one of the reasons. And also, you have a lot of Israelis who are still, they're in that appeasement stage. When you're like a victim of abuse for so long, you feel like you need to
Be nice.
apologize for your existence.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of most Israelis that would say are still apologetic for their existence and not ready to do what's needed to have safety. Like, there shouldn't be terrorist attacks every day.
Right.
Israel has the power to enforce normality, but it
I don't-
require force.
One thing I don't understand is how the Arabs here in Judea and Samaria are able to make terrorist cells, get weapons, do explosive, get guns. Like, I have no idea. How does that happen? Like, oh, they're so oppressed. If they're so oppressed, then how are they getting all these weapons and shooting random women and men and children dead while they're driving in the roads, Like, I don't get it.
Well, there are explanations for how they get weapons, but yeah, let's continue.
Okay. When do you have to go?
I don't have to go. I'm good. Continue. I'm doing work here.
Okay.
I have stuff to do here.
Okay.
I
Yes, it is more streaming on the Arab Muslim side, yes.
remember the Christian Arab lady that we spoke to. We didn't interview her on camera, but we spoke to her in Manila. She was Bangladesh. She was outside of that restaurant. I don't want to name any specifics, but if you remember, we were speaking to her just a while ago over there, and she was really, you can tell she was really caught in the crossfire between the two worlds. Like, she was very Israeli, but very proud to be Christian, very proud to be Palestinian, and like lives as an Israeli citizen. And you can tell that's something, for example, that I really feel for is like the Christian citizens of this country and the West Bank and the North and actually all the Middle East. They're really stuck in a fucked up situation where they don't feel like they have much of they don't have anywhere to go. Everywhere is unsafe for them to a certain extent, and their allegiance/nationality identity is completely obscure.
But Israel are technically physically safe.
Yeah.
But yes, in terms of their identity, in terms of their opinions, it's hard for they feel forgotten what's going on right now in Gaza. They feel like you get knocked on the door by the police. I mean, that's the general consensus on Arabs in general in Israel. So people are allowed to have opinions, even if I don't like their opinions. As long as it's not violent, I don't have an issue with it.
Right.
And
Yeah, you're right about that.
And it's another reason with Israeli Jewish society is we become so emotionalized that it's hard for people to have dissenting opinions and voice them. So yeah, I wish we could get more room for that.
And I think
But everybody comes back, so it's hard.
what I value about the system that we live in, and also the system we come from the West, and I'm not totally anti-Western society as maybe sometimes they make it look to be, but something that I really value about it is everybody has a right to an opinion. The most important thing to me is for me to have the right to criticize your opinion. Like your opinion to me.
Can you put it on mute? Sorry, because it's making banging.
Yeah, sure. Hold on.
It can be wrong as fuck, and I can eat it apart, like I can just destroy it, and I have the right to do that. And that's something that I really appreciate about where we live in, is because I don't feel like anybody can hold that over my head, both in the States or here. That's something I really, really appreciate, and I've come to really learn, especially last year connecting with Arabs from all over the Arab world, and Iranians, like people who are in Iran, who have tons of opinions on what's going on in their country, but literally can't even share a quarter of it, out of fear of literally being killed, out of physical harm to them. And that's something that I've...
And Israel is the best country in the Middle East for that. Yeah. Absolutely. I do all the time. I'm constantly, sometimes even if I don't believe it, telling people certain opinions. And that's a Jewish thing too, by the way. So, I remember being in arguments about different issues, nothing to do with Palestine. And people would bring up an argument, and then like 3 months later, be like, well, I didn't really mean it. I was doing, trying to be, contradictory. Just a fun thing people do.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that we can do that. I think that's right. I think that's very healthy society.
I think that's how you also progress in society. So important. If you can't share those ideas, critique them, you'll never be able to improve them. We're at the 30-minute mark here. I want to real quick just shout out to people who are super chatting. Guys, today's show is going to be... Today's show is going to be a little bit rushed because obviously I think a lot of people are going to ask Cory questions. So if you do want to get your super chats in, we'll do another round of super chats in a bit. So get them in now, and I'll come back to them towards the end of the show.
He's eating his apple.
Remember our quest to find a Canadian last night, Drew. We were looking for a Canadian. Now we got our beautiful, sexy Canadian to tell us all the opinions on justice.
Oh, he's so sexy. Is he gay too? Travel clat, whatever. Is he also gay? But this guy, he seems to really munch on his apple. He's really like into his apple. As long as he's enjoying it, right?
Palestine from Houthi and Iranian attacks. Amen, brother. Mashallah. David said that. He dropped his 5 euros and said that's because Palestinian identity is really a folk, aka a socially constructed identity to push a dialectical conflict theory. Do you believe that, Cory? He says that's because Palestinian identity is really a folk. I don't even know what the definition of folk is. AKA a socially constructed identity to push a dialectical conflict theory. I agree with most of the parts.
I don't really mean by dialectical conflict theory, but it's invented? Yeah, I guess, but there are 10 million, 14 million Palestinians around the world who believe it, so it doesn't matter. So is religion, by the way. Yeah. Religion is an invention. I always joke with Cori that, one of the things I like about being Jewish is we invented monotheism. And they all get so offended. Because they're like, no, God invented us. And I'm like, no. We invented God. So, this is wrong. Yeah, of course. Maybe it's an invention. Who cares? There have been people for at least 100
That's a Jewish thing to do,
years who believe that they're
right. So in that sense, he's not wrong. Everything's an invention, but it is an invention primarily in part to destroy the Jews. So
to what?
To destroy the state of Israel. It's not the Palestinian identity is not a real it is created.
Right.
He's right. It's created.
The identity of them being Palestinians that lived in Palestine since 2,000 years, they just took on that name. Arabs just took on that name. Palestine.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go through that here.
Okay.
And if their goal is not to destroy us, I have no issue with it. That isn't my...
But their goal is to destroy us. Their goal is the whole Palestinianism is to destroy Israel. That's why they have the necklace of Israel. Like, they have necklaces of the land of Israel, and for them, they call the whole thing Palestine. So
right.
It is about destroying Israel. So he's saying, if it's not, it is.
But it's basically he's denying reality. Denying reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can wear the dresses, and I have no issue with this. They can think hummus is theirs and awful. I don't care. Who cares?
Right. I did a video on that recently. Whatever. Okay.
But then, it turns into this stupid fight where they go, oh, these Jews from Poland stole hummus. I'm like, Habibi. I mean, not me. But you, let's say. Most Israeli cultures, they ate hummus for the last 2,000 years.
You think you'll invent hummus? We don't invent hummus, Habibi. Maybe colleague Schuster invent hummus, but not you, Muhammad. Not you, Muhammad. I will say that I agree to a certain extent, Davide. I agree with Cory in the sense that Palestinians are a kidnap. Whether you like it or not, you gotta come to terms with the fact that they exist. But what I really believe in, and I believe that people should do that to us too, to find the pitfalls in our identity. People do it all the time. We have the right to scrutinize. We have the right to pick apart the history. We have the right to pick apart the culture and call out cultural appropriation. The fact that we find about this Al-Qadiyah not belonging in the slightest to any Levantine culture or Palestinians, and this being invented in Iraq is a clear case of how you make a movement to push back against that idea. If Palestinians have a culture, they have to have their own culture. They can't steal somebody else's culture. I'm all about Palestinians having a culture. I'm all about Palestinians having an identity. I don't believe that they should self-identify in a land autonomously. I don't think they can handle that. But I do think that we should be able to pick apart their ideas and their history if they're appropriating somebody else. I'm all about that all day. But yes, it is true.
I disagree with you. I don't think people steal cultures. I think people share cultures, and people go, I like that. And then it turns into their culture, and they develop it in their own way. I know what you mean.
I think, for example, calling Jesus a Palestinian and putting a
Well, it doesn't make sense in a logical sense, because it wasn't Palestine until 30 years after Jesus' death. So that makes no sense in a logical sense.
That to me is something I will stand on the grave and I'll criticize.
He also wasn't a Christian.
And he wasn't a Christian.
He never.
So you can't.
It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't let that idea fly. Especially in the Kafir, something I'm passionate about, because this comes from Iraq. You know, this is some of my ancestors in Iraq. It has nothing to do with Palestine. That's our culturally appropriated this violently. The history is true. It's not like Palestinians are away from me. That's history that's not.
Mute.
Which is Islamic history. It has nothing to do with Palestine only.
Yeah.
These are things that I think we should criticize it because we can help Palestinians be better, in my opinion. I don't want to harp on this forever.
Help them be better.
Also dropped this €2. Also, we hit 200 viewers in the chat right now, so welcome everybody. That's awesome. 215. We just dropped out. Welcome everyone.
Wow.
We're with the great and powerful and sexy cOry Schuster tonight,
The
ladies.
sexy.
Looking for a husband.
Seriously? He's looking for a husband?
Looking for a hobby.
If any mockers are on the...
Oh.
Take
Okay.
a not. Take a lawyer.
David dropped this other €2 and said to cOry, look up.
Oh boy, why does he always hit this guy, Travel Clat, right? He always hits on everybody's, like, I don't even think he means it. He'll say to Rebecca Barstef, oh, she's so sexy. And then he'll have a picture of her boobies in the photo. You know? And then, like, he'd say, oh yeah, she's beautiful. And then he's calling this guy sexy. It's just like, what's going on there? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he gay? Is he bisexual? Is he just trying to be nice? Like, I thought it's just so funny.
Soviet Korean Zakija. I'll make sure to send this to cOry after the show, if I remember when I read it.
I know that's hard, but I will. Okay.
Okay, Shauna Wood Demon said, I would love to know if you guys have a perspective about why Christianity belongs to reform its perspective, but Islam has not. 7th century Christians were just as bad in their views as the Jews. You want to speak about that, cOry?
And I can say something, but I'm not an expert in Islam. And I have pet peeve when people are not experts comment on it. But I'll still do it. So I know one of the things in Islam which Muslims pride themselves on is that Islam and the Quran is the unchanged word of God since Muhammad was given the Quran. And is word for word exactly the same. Even though I've actually been told there are different Qurans that are...
There's 20. 20 different Qurans, at least.
So at least the story that Muslims today tell themselves, is that the Jews were offered the word of God, and they went against God, and they killed prophets, and they changed it to suit their needs. And so God gave it to Christians, and they did something similar, and then he gave it to Muslims, or Muhammad, and he created Islam, and that is the true word of God, so therefore it cannot be changed, period. Cannot. That's my understanding, but I'm not an expert on Islam. We need to invite an Islam. Who's an Islamist? An expert on Islam.
An Islamist is a bit of
an Islamist.
You know, we'll probably have an Islamist today. Almost every call section we have some sort of Islamist that joins in and yells at us Muhammad or Allah.
All that what I just said is exactly what I'm told time after time.
It's a little strange to me that he won't learn about Islam when he's interacting with Muslim people on the daily. Like, maybe he should be learning a little bit.
Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care enough. Maybe he's just doing it for views, you know? Yeah, for business. You know? And he happens to have this experience, and so he's sharing. No?
Do you want to find out?
What do you mean?
Do
my ways?
See what's your ways.
We wouldn't want to give that away on here.
Okay, fine. Never mind.
Okay, let's continue.
I many different Muslim houses. That's all I know.
I would say, Shauna, that I think Christianity has had...
Shauna? Shauna? What's his name? Shauna? Oh.
No, they're responding to a super chat of a woman named Shauna.
Okay. I'm like, okay, this guy, he has one strike against him. Okay, I'm not... Okay, he's gay, but I'm not...
Yeah, by the way, if you ever hear me not responding, it's because, like, my hands are dirty.
Yeah, you're on mute.
All the dough on it, so...
Yeah.
I'm on mute, yeah. But with regards to the guy making sexual comments, I guess some people are more, like that. I feel like Yeah, and that's okay, I guess. It is a little. It does feel a little off because it felt like when he was commenting about her physical appearance, it felt like maybe he was interested in her, but then maybe not. But it is interesting, yeah.
Beautiful Zionist, and the only I think she can Rebecca Marcef, right? She is. I wouldn't say she's beautiful. I wouldn't say she's pretty. I think she's just very sensual and she has sexual energy. Does that make sense?
But every human has sexual energy, but she's not ugly.
She's not ugly, but she has this very
her energy is no, she just has a feminine.
Very feminine, grandma.
No, I wouldn't say she's ugly. Like there are people who are ugly, and
she's more attractive. She has a big
when
booty.
you like humans, right? She has attractive personality. But I would say most humans, like when you interact with them, they are beautiful.
Right.
Some people are just ugly, and that's sad for them. But like most people have beauty in them.
But I think she gives off a more very Venus type of energy, which is more like sexual and more sensual.
So okay, I'm not too much in touch with that, but
I'm just saying. What I'm saying is,
right. This is your perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like you're probably right, but I'm not.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, she's not a Western beauty.
Right. She's more Russian Bukharian.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is it's a different style. She's not a blonde and blue eyes. She's a different style, more Bukharian.
Right.
Which is
She has big nose. I mean big eyes. Sorry, I didn't mean to say big nose.
But it doesn't really matter how people look because people are beautiful anyway.
Big eyes. I meant big eyes. You see, I would have to edit that out just to not to insult anyone. She has big eyes.
Yeah. But everyone's beautiful.
Right. In their own way, they become beautiful.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the experience when I saw this lady and she had the biggest nose ever, and it was shocking? But then, after you start talking to her, you just don't see it anymore. She just becomes very a beautiful person. Like she really had a big nose, like bigger than.
Right. I find that when I speak to people or when I interact, I could do makeup on people and then I speak to them and they will point out an insecurity they have and I didn't even notice.
Right.
Even though I'm up close looking at them. I didn't even notice that. Because I'm looking at them as a human.
Exactly.
Over Islam, roughly 600 years longer than Islam took form, which is it is a good amount of time. I also think that Islam has been thrusted into a world of modernity that it maybe was not ready for. And Arab society tends to feed into racism.
I mean, they only started using the toilet like 50 years ago, so yeah, no duh, they weren't ready for modernity.
And into chaos way more than Christian society. Because Christian society...
Mute?
Well, yeah, I'm just working here.
I know, it's hard.
It was able to develop new ideas. If you look at the history of the Middle East, whether it's ancient Mesopotamia, Babylon, Akkadian, Sumerian, Phoenician, Philistine, Persian, there has never been peace in this region. Not one time. There's never been peace in this region, ever. Before Islam, before Arabs, before anybody, there has been intertribal battles and external battles and battles over religion and forced conversions and rapes and murders and pillaging. It's happened forever now. And so... Because
the Christians would come, and then the Romans came, and then the Muslims came only later, but the Christians came to try to colonize Israel, right, and occupy Israel, and there were internal battles, right, like the kingdoms of Judah and the kingdom of whoever else. They were fighting internally, like he said.
You're seeing just a group of people that have been colonized by the Arabs, like the wider Arab world, which is the 400 million people you see today who are considered the Arabs. You're just seeing a manifestation of them in the modern day. They've never had the ability to progress. I do think, like, I've had multiple conversations this week with ex-Muslims and with Muslims who are more open to the Middle East sort of progressing into the modern age. I do think that things are changing in a positive direction. And I think that Arabs are waking up to the fact that there's some serious major pitfalls of their behavior / culture, and I think that maybe there's a desire to start progressing in the proper direction, which doesn't necessarily
wishful thinking.
Just in a direction where there's a little bit more acceptance and tolerance for people with different ideas.
Wishful thinking.
Well, it's inevitable that there's going to have to be a reform because their ideas are incompatible with society.
Right.
So
But
there's
then-
going to have to be an evolution. Question is how?
No, but they don't want the evolution. They want to colonize. They already colonized 56 countries in the Middle East. Now they want to colonize the rest of the West. They don't want to give up. They want to go to England and make, a Sharia caliphate. They want to go to America and do that. They want to go to Brazil and do that. They want to go everywhere and make it Islamic. That's their goal. They're never going to give up on that idea.
Well, maybe.
What?
You can keep going.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, the problem with Islamism is that it's the violent minority that is a problem. The reason the violent Jewish minority isn't so much of a problem is because they're outcast and they get punished.
Right.
It's not a celebrated thing.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't know. It just made me think about that lady that they took her baby away from her. The guy went to the Goyish courts and got the baby taken away from a mother who just gave birth, and she's supposed to breastfeed the newborn, and the courts took the baby away from her.
Right.
And the Jewish community is they think it's completely fine. They're making excuses. Excuse after excuse. Oh, she's abusive. She's this, she's that. Making up story after story. But, even in Muslim society, that's you don't take a baby away from the mother. Only when the baby is 3 years old, then you can take the baby away from the mother. But before then, even if they're divorced, the baby stays with the mother. And so I find that shocking that the men in the Jewish community, they're and women too, they think it's completely fine. That goes against...
Again, it's not in the Jewish community, it's in the ultra Orthodox.
Right, it's yeah, but don't do unto others what you don't want it to done to you. Don't do unto others. And they're taking... a woman gives birth, you think it can't happen to any woman who supports that. They think it can't happen to them. It's just disturbing.
Yeah.
I do really want to say. Cori, before we get into the comment section, which is a real spicy and fun bit, I do want to ask
Sorry.
Can you, I don't think I've ever had you tell me about this before, but can you tell me about what has been your favorite memory in the last 13 years doing this? Have you ever had a moment that you sort of looked back and were like, this is fucking unreal. I can't believe I'm doing this right now, or this is amazing, or this was incredible?
Actually, all the time. I still, today I went to film on campus at Tel University. I'm filming with a few of my students to actually make a promotional video for the program itself. And you find people who you walk up to somebody and you think, okay, he could be a good speaker, or she's going to be a bad speaker, whatever. And people surprise me all the time. And as they're speaking, sometimes I'm like, holy crap, really? Am I getting this information? One guy we spoke to today, not in the video, was telling me, Arab-Israeli, a Palestinian, was telling me how, I don't know how it came up, but he's like, oh, have you been to some town, some city in the West Bank? And I said, yeah, I've been there. He goes, see, my father we own a factory in the Jewish settlement next to it. And I'm looking at him going, if you're an Arab Muslim Palestinian, why would you have a factory in a Jewish settlement? And he's like, why not? And I'm like, okay. How am I, and it's not on video, I don't have it, and I don't want to announce his family, and I said I should have got that on video, because you can, it's promotion for the company, but I'm like, I know it'll cause issues if, other Palestinians knew about it. I just think every time I film, there's always somebody who surprises me with some piece of information that I never thought I would get.
Yeah, I agree with him, because there are lots of Muslims that won't admit it, but they do business with the Jewish people in the settlements. So you have a lot of so-called Palestinians that do business. They go for coffee with different so-called settlers, right? And they will do business, they will do contracts, they will have a lot of Arabs will do construction in the Jewish settlements, and not vice versa, but they will sell cars, buy and sell cars, they will buy and sell things. There's a lot of business going on between the Jewish community and the Arab community, and that's something that gets completely ignored. And only the bad stuff that happens here, with the Arabs accusing Jews of doing horrendous things, which we're not doing, right? That's the only thing that gets blown up, in the CNN, for example, right? See if this is working. Okay, I'll continue.
I remember another one, this is years ago. There was an Iraqi woman, a woman who was born in Iraq. She told me the story of escaping from Iraq in her 20s. And how her friend, who was Muslim, came from like a family that was like a threat to the whoever took over, I don't remember history, in the 50s. And they put her up on a pole and they ripped her insides out. So she found her friend with her entrails, like her insides, coming out of her. And how she had to escape through Turkey, and she had to pretend she was Muslim. And she was telling me the story. And that's actually in the video. What was her name? Blanking already. I'll remember after.
Wow.
People just tell me the craziest stories.
Because that's like Muslim society. The fact that there's so many stories coming out of Islamic society, how all this violence happens. Like, who would ever think to go and disembowel a person? Like, who? Like it happens, criminals do it, but there's so many stories.
Yeah, Mexican
cartels.
Yeah, they behave in this way as well. So
That's
the evil
true.
is there. Evil exists.
That's true. That's actually a good point. That's actually an excellent point.
But they don't use religion.
To
excuse it with religion.
Excuse it, right. They don't use... And the average Mexican cartel type of person, or Mexicans in general, they all carry knives. And how do I know this? Because when I was there, some Mexican guy was telling me all about it. And it's normal for them to steal. It's just part of their culture. Like, people don't realize how lucky they are to live in America. It's just insane. Right?
About their lives, or about their opinions, or about something. And sometimes in the video, sometimes just before the video, or after the video. It is amazing, both Palestinians and Israelis will tell you almost anything if you just ask them. And I had no idea going into this. I really had no idea. And there's so many stories of things that have happened that I'm just amazed. And most of them are in the videos. I try to put it into the video as much as possible.
He has to be careful, though, If we find out he's gay and Jewish, and he goes into Ramallah, that'd be really dangerous for him.
So even something happens after, someone will have a little break where, right what happened. Or
yeah, he probably just has good luck.
Yeah.
He probably has good luck, and maybe he will go to like certain areas where he knows that they're less likely to be violent. Like, he is lucky.
Yeah, the fact that we're even having this conversation, it just goes to show the violence of the Islamic community, especially in these areas. Unbelievable.
That's actually such a beautiful way to put it, Cory, because in reality, not to look at it too much like kumbaya and hippie and amazing and whatever. It is. But, like, if there's a country to do this project, it's here. And, like, living in Southeast Asia and living around Asia for the last couple of years, if you would attempt to do a project like this in a lot of parts of Asia, I'm always, whenever I'm out filming with you, I'm always shocked by how receptive people are. How, like, it's a vast majority of people are actually willing to talk to you. I find that a lot of times when you stop
His
people,
personality.
they're willing to not willing. And it's just like random people going about their day. And that what you just said, that quote is so beautiful. If you're willing to ask a Palestinian, ask an Israeli, they're willing to tell you almost anything. And that's so true. There are so many people here with like rich stories and culture and history, and they're just carrying it around with them all day. Like everyone in this country has seen some shit. It doesn't matter where they are, if they're Samaritan, or if they're Hebrew Israelite, or if they're Mizrahi or Ethiopian or Ashkenazi. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's been through some shit and seen some shit. And so if you just
I would steer clear from Hebrew Israelites.
What?
I would steer clear from Hebrew Israelites.
Oh yeah, they're very violent. They're Malcolm X, Nation of Islam. They're all the Hebrew Israelites. They call themselves Israelites. They are the most violent, hateful people on earth. Worse than the Arabs.
Right. You tell these stories as if it's like, you can tell somebody telling a story, like, oh my god, you won't believe this happened. They're telling it like, this happened, and then I saw my friend, and she was ripped apart, and I'm like, what's going on here? People will tell you stuff, often without a camera it's a bit better, but people will tell you the stories of their lives, and they're fascinating. These are really interesting people.
Absolutely, yeah, very, very, very interesting people, very deep people. And I think sometimes people they look at them from the outside, especially if you're a tourist coming to this country. And let's say you don't really do, like you just come to Jerusalem, you come to your tour in Tel Aviv, and you don't really know, you don't take a second to sit down and have a conversation with Israelis. It's exactly like Cory said, every person here is carrying with them something. It's carrying maybe even a universe with them. And I know I am, and I know that Cory is. Like both my story and Cory's stories are extremely interesting about both what we do in life, and we're just two people. Like every single person, the person who's shooting a pound, and the random person in the market who's a street vendor, to the person who's cleaning the streets, to the bus driver, to the taxi driver, they all have something to say. And it's also interesting, and what's really, really different about them, I would say different than anywhere else in the world, is that they're willing to share those stories. Camera or non-camera. How many times I walk around outside of my day? Now I moved to a different city. I'm outside of Tel Aviv, and it's like a way more local city, I would say. I have the most random interactions with human beings on the street, where I find myself wondering, what am I doing here? Like, what is this?
You're living in the hood.
I'm living in a hood.
There's a story there.
Yeah. I just go downstairs to buy food and I have a conversation with somebody. I was in the supermarket the other day and I found myself in a singing battle between a Holocaust survivor and a Mizrahi dude that was probably thrown out of Syria or something, and then a Russian clerk at the at the counter, and it was just like the most weirdest cultural hodgepodge. A mix that doesn't make any sense, where just people are just throwing stories and anecdotes, and that's just happening every single day. That's what makes it fascinating.
Yeah.
Cor-
Yeah, but that is true. Because like in Israel, you'll have like I remember being on a bus and these old ladies are like, "Oh, I have food," like just reading random people. It's very strange.
Everybody's also into each other's faces, you know. And you'll see
Yeah,
a lot of the
yeah,
time.
that's true.
I saw on the train in Jerusalem, right? There was a Jewish baby that was probably wearing just a sweater, and suddenly all these like Arab women start like speaking to the Jewish mother and telling her, "Here, put the baby needs a blanket. The baby needs a blanket," and they wanted to, you know, "Oh yeah, let's put the blanket on the baby," you know, trying to tell the mother how to mother. It's very interesting.
Oh,
Interesting.
Not as many boundaries. Yeah, more like family. Like everyone's in each other's business.
Yeah, like everybody's literally in each other's face and like telling each other off. And the other day there was these women. They try to move me along in the counter, and they start ramming their the trolley. What do you call that thing when you push
Cart,
the
cart.
push cart?
Shopping.
Trying to ram it into
Shopping
me,
cart.
and I was like, "What the fudge?" You know, like it was a really horrible experience because whatever, you know. I'm just sensitive, and there was a creep there, but
I think that's what he's Gil Schuster's. Excuse me. Now I'm in it.
yes,
Gil Schuster is talking about. Give me a minute.
it's fine. You too.
He's talking about the Israeli culture. They're very aggressive by nature. They're just aggressive people, but if you dig deep down, they're actually caring people.
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I wouldn't connect with my downstairs neighbor, even though they're Israeli, Mizrahi.
They're just too aggressive.
I noticed the weirdest thing is that, like, a lot of the Mizrahi, their culture is very they're obsessed with men. Like, if they see you alone, as a woman alone, they, whatever, they kind of ignore you or say hi. But if you have a man with you, the Mizrahi women, their eyes glow. Like, their eyes light up, like, and they look like as
They're
if
very patriarchal.
Yeah,
They're very
they-
patriarchal
men-
society because they've been in with the Muslims
yeah.
for so long.
It's like, oh man, oh my god, you have a man that's so special. All of a sudden, they give you all this respect. I'm like, this is so weird. Like, whatever. It's the whole thing's strange. Okay, we'll continue.
I want to know from you, if there's one thing that you wish people knew about Israel, what would that be? If you could relate one specific message.
Tired, so I have to think. I mean, to sum it up, it's not like most people think. It really isn't. It's different. And I don't mean that in I have there's such wonderful people here, how dare the media talk badly about them, because I think a lot of people here deserve a lot of criticism. A lot. It's
Pretty
different
assholes.
than what people think outside. And I know it from the questions I get, and I know it from the way people ask me questions outside of Israel, or how they make assumptions about Israelis. Thinking they think a certain way, or they do things a certain way, and I'm like, yeah, you don't get it. You don't get it at all. It's very different. And it takes a long time to really understand that. It's a sad thing, because Israelis don't even understand how different they are, and they don't think that they're weird. Like, they don't know this about themselves, right? So they don't know even what to explain, so you have to piece it together yourself. I have the same issue with Palestinians. Every time Palestinians say something, I'll, like, my translator, I don't know if you experience this, where we'll say, well, they meant this, right? But you're like, no, the opposite. How do you not get that? Because Palestinian culture, our Islamic culture, is so different to me that I'm always misunderstanding. Always. Completely misunderstanding. And so,
is it misunderstanding what they're saying or the way that they're speaking?
No. Like, they'll say something and put it a certain way, and I'll understand the direct opposite of what they actually meant.
Wow.
And it happens all the time. I mean, the example I always give is for the first 3 years, I thought they were talking about the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. None of them were talking about the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. They're talking about all the land.
Exactly.
It took me 3 years to figure this out, because nobody, they don't think that they hear occupation means everything. You just have to leave.
Jews have to get the fuck out of here. That's what they want. And they'll do whatever it takes to get that.
Right, but I think Gil Schuster is a little bit naive because we would know that.
Right. They mean it, you know? These Arabs, they mean what they say. They're not joking. They're not playing games.
And it took me 3 years to figure this out. I'm not so smart. So,
You don't give yourself enough credit, my friend. I really do believe
no,
you're one of the
but
smartest.
but nobody's that smart. It's hard to understand because nobody explains the culture and everybody speaks in these slogans and these ways of speaking that they think are perfectly clear to everybody and are not. Not at all.
Yeah, you know what drives me crazy about last year? This is just a personal anecdote now, but like, and I know they actually forward with that. Right? You were with him at a certain point.
Can you put on mute?
I
Yeah.
tried to take the lesson. We didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like when the last year, there's been so many people who have been representing the Israeli side, if that's even the right word to say, on social media, on TV. When like I haven't seen you a single time make a TV appearance, or you know.
Yeah, by the way, I'm
going
gonna be washing dishes, so I'm only gonna come in
Okay.
so often.
Okay.
Right, you've probably done some minor stuff.
Minor, I don't really want to do. First of all, I don't think I'm a very good debater. I can only debate what I know. And you know what Netanyahu really thinks he's doing, I'm not going to debate. I don't care. That's all.
I just think that like getting.
Right. I'm not either a debater. I could never, ever.
I think when I think of who can really explain what the other side has done, it's just somebody who's been there and has spent so much time with them from this perspective. You're not a Palestinian who's going to have like a desire to now cover up for all their shortcomings, and you definitely don't do that for the Jews. You definitely don't do it for the Zionists. Like you do speak very openly in a negative manner about Israelis when needed. You do it, and so you know that you're not.
It's a shit show out there. You know it's a shit show out there. But I also don't think I should be the only one doing this. Like it's processed through my perceptions. As everything is, right? Every person has their own perceptions, which is fine. But don't listen to just me. Come here, go speak to these yahoos on both sides yourselves, and come to your own conclusions. You can think differently. I have no issue with that. But the big thing is, don't give excuses to really bad behavior. Okay, a little bit bad behavior, yeah, okay, I'm willing to give some excuses to every side. But the really bad behavior, violence, no, I don't give excuses. I don't think it's okay. I don't think covering up for your own side is a good idea. And I understand more, but I've been criticized lately because there's a bunch of videos of Israelis who sound kind of stupid and heartless. And I didn't tell you this, but I'm now on TRT and on Al Jazeera. One of my interviews, they stole it from me. I actually specifically said to TRT, no, you do propaganda, I didn't give you permission.
And they took it anyway.
So, yeah, of course.
Motherfuckers.
I don't even think that legally it mattered. I think they're allowed to do what they want. It's public, it's in the public
Really? Really?
eye, so, they can do what they want. And truthfully, it's, people say shit. People say crazy shit here. And I can't control that. So, and then someone will say, why did you post it? Because I post everything. Everything. So,
There's one thing to like say crazy shit, and it's one thing to actually act on it. Like.
Right, and also, it goes back to what we were saying about the people who say crazy shit don't actually, they don't usually behave on it, A.
Yeah.
And when they do, they're punished. They're in jail for life.
Right. Especially in Israel, they're ruthless.
Yeah.
But they let the Arabs off the hook better. They let them off easier.
Mm-hmm.
what was my point here? Wait, I'm tired. I can't remember.
Well, we have 2 more
It
questions.
shouldn't be through one lens. People should be, come here, and you all have no excuses. Oh, that's another my pet peeve. Most of you Americans, Canadians, Western Europeans, you have no excuse. Because I know the amount of money you guys spend at Costco, and on clothing, and on furniture, and on going on vacation locally. Spend $2,000 coming to Israel, stay in the hospital. You'll like it. It'll be great. And spend time with the group you least agree with. And then you criticize them. Fine, go ahead.
And it'll be great. Yeah, and it'll be great.
Oh my god. Basically, I had roommates, right? And
Right.
one of my roommates was gay. He had a boyfriend, really nice, Jewish guy. But he was like in the center of Jerusalem, but he would go to the Palestinians and he would try to help them. And he was anti-settlers and he was trying to make peace. It was the strangest thing. And he was like so anti-West Bank Jews there and so pro-Arab and crying for them and saying how Israel is doing bad things, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, if they just found out who he was, these Palestinians, like if he went to hang out with them without any IDF escort, he would be done for.
Right. Or he would be lucky.
Right.
Like, I'm sure not every single person in the West Bank is dangerous.
Right, but the thing is that they form mobs. They form mobs like you never seen.
Right.
Like, it's so easy for them to just, somehow, by some magic, they all suddenly, they come like a swarm of flies. Huh?
Yeah, they all appear capturing.
That's why, like, a lot of the people in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, they carry guns in their car because their car can get mobbed and lynched in 1 second.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, we got two.
I should work with the administrative version.
You
Why are
should.
they not paying?
Honestly, you need to convert just to administrative. You need to convert to the. You should get the Traveling Core. I'll take over for you in the Ask Project. Not the Ask Project. That's a
No,
different project.
you should pay me for this. No one official has ever paid me for anything.
This is the other can of worms that I talk about frequently. I talk about this with my friend Rob that you met to, the support for people like us who are out here creating
Apple.
content. Whether it's defending Israel or not, there's nothing. You don't see any support. For everybody who thinks that people like me and Cori are in this, and I'm not saying that we even create similar content, because we don't, but like, for people who think that we're doing this because we're being paid by the Mossad,
right.
So we see nothing. I had to move 4 apartments since I got this room because I can't afford rent. You know, it's like,
Oh my god. So true.
we're not seeing shit. If it's not you guys who pay my bills on Patreon and on Super Chats and buy me coffee, I have nothing. I have nothing if it's not for you guys. You guys are the ones who make this happen. So it's really just by the good grace of the people who watch this content and fuck with it that we're able to do what we do. David also said this 5 euros and said, a folk is a spiritual people with a national soul created to establish a class conflict in the socialist sense. Okay, well, thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the super chat. We also got one more super chat for $10. It says, hey Cori, love your Ask Project interviews. You ask others on peace, but what is your opinion on peace? Is peace possible between Israelis and Palestinians in 2025? Thank you to Clap for hosting.
Look, anything is possible, I guess. You're gonna don't saw that coming, but I highly doubt it, because the problem is, if you oversimplify and generalize, both sides are so far apart from each other, and neither side is willing to compromise.
That's not true.
You use the word compromise with Palestinians, and it's like, it means giving in,
What's he saying?
giving up completely. So they think they're going to be killed, or...
This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Israel has compromised way too many times with the enemy. Compromised, gave land away for peace. That's all we've ever done. And look where it got us.
sent away, or cleansed, or something.
He's not. This guy's not 100% honest. There's something off with him. Because if he were honest, he wouldn't say such a thing. Because that's not what the history says.
You'd be happening. Sorry, I wish. I really do wish. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong on all these things. I'm not one of these people who really wants to be right about this. I want to be wrong.
About the fact that there might not be peace, or that peace is not
Yes.
possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Or most, what I say. Yes.
My lovelies, we are now in the most fun part of the show, the part of the show that I'm always most excited about. Listen, this is the first time I'm really doing this with a proper guest setup where we have a lot of questions coming in and a lot of people who want to speak. So bear with me, guys, if we have some technical difficulties during this part because it's not fleshed out completely. I appreciate you also, Cori, for bearing with me. Also, a huge thank you to English Who Dat for just dropping us a random super chat for $25. We love you, homie. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. All right, let's start taking questions. I always like to prioritize people who have never called in before. So I see a man named Antoine or Antoine?
Antoine. Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you for the invitation.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I just wanted to say, like, I'm Canadian, but I'm from Egyptian origin.
I'm down to your Lebanese.
Yeah, I really like what you guys do, like, Cori and Tal, and again, that's how I learned more about Israel. I've been planning to visit. My main question is that have you guys ever met, like, tourists from Arab countries in Israel? And, like, have you?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I have a few Egyptian friends who are in Canada. They're Copts. And when he came to Israel 20-something years ago, he did not like it. He said it was too chaotic, which is funny because I've been to Egypt, and Egypt is way more chaotic.
Super chaotic, yeah.
Yeah. I had a guy from Mauritius who I didn't know, but a friend of a friend knows him, and he came. Who else have I met? Jordanians. A lot of like European, like Kurds or Arabs or like who have European passports. I don't think anyone else. Oh, I have a friend of mine who's religious, lived in Jerusalem, and he actually would go to pray every Shabbat. He would go to the Wailing Wall, and he would, because he's American and he's like a big believer in peace, he would make a point of friend of a friend when the random Muslims from Pakistani origin, like from the UK, would come wander into like the Jewish areas, and he would try to be really nice to them and explain about Judaism, because usually another criticism Israelis I have for the religious Israelis is they don't know what to do with people who are really different. And so, like, a guy wearing a Pakistani Muslim garb who wanders up to the Western Wall, they're kind of like, I don't know what to do with you. So they just kind of ignore them. And so he would go and befriend them and explain all about Judaism, and I was like, this is amazing. We need to create a whole group of people who do this. Because that's what always happens. People who live in a certain area, they think, who's this strange person wearing these strange clothing? I don't know how to deal with them. So,
I actually actively employ that upon myself. When I see Muslims now or people of a different culture in Israel, like for example, if I see a group of people that I can tell are from Africa, usually there's Christian groups from like Kenya and Nigeria who come here to tour the old city of Jerusalem, I'll take a second to try to stop and make them feel welcome. If I see, this happened with me in Korea on the train recently, we were going to Amna, we saw a Filipino lady who seemed lost. I took it upon myself to immediately try to help her because one, I've lived in the Philippines for a while, so I feel a personal connection, but I do look at it, I think that more Jews need to look at guests in our country the way that Muslims do, in the sense of hospitality. They are guests in our land. This is our land, and they're guests in our land. We should look to avoid the tourists because they're tourists like they do in the West. We should look to actively make a tourist in our country feel welcome and feel like we're looking out for them. Take personal responsibility for them. That being said, I've had many interactions with Muslim tourists here. Most recently, I was filming in East Jerusalem, and there was a group of Muslims who came to tour Palestine from London. I don't think they were necessarily going to the Jewish areas. They were probably all over the West Bank, but they were all the women were wearing hijabs, all the men looked like they were, very, very religious. I asked them, and they were super friendly. They didn't think that a Jew was going to come up and talk to them in the way that I did. We had a really nice conversation. I've also been doing work with an organization called Sharaka that I really believe in that actively brings Muslims to Israel to understand Israel. I toured with them.
Because Jews, they just don't want to be bothered. They have enough going on in their lives, Like, on top of Israel being a very small country, there's a lot of chaos going on here. With all the chaos, like, a lot of Jewish people are just afraid,
Right, and also, that's the thing. It's basically asking every Jewish person to be an activist, which is what the Rebbe wanted with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He believed that every person is an activist wherever they find themselves, and they should step up.
Right.
That's what the Rebbe wanted, everyone to be teaching. But it's difficult.
Right.
Go to the site and people see that I got hit on October 7th. This was back in March, and I want to continue to do work with them in the future. So, absolutely, man, we definitely, and me and Cori, every time we film, we had the opportunity to talk to Muslims, or Israelis, not tourists, but Muslims who live here in Israel, and also engage with them in deep discussion. So, for sure.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Of course. Thanks for calling in, Antoine. Appreciate it, bro. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take the next caller. I'm going to bring Antoine down off the stage. And sorry, guys, that Cori's beautiful face has to disappear there for a second. Let's bring on Eli Green, a caller from Canada, Music Toronto. Welcome to the show, brother.
Alright, we're finally going to see if I've got this working. Hello, testing. Am I finally working here?
Perfect. You sound good.
Finally. Okay, last time this did not work very well. Tal, before we get started with that, everybody should know I have a big thank you to give to Tal for his help with the Song Shul's Hanukkah project this year, because thanks to him, we got some amazing greetings for Hanukkah from non-Jews, from South Korea, and from an Emirati girl, the very first Emirati to study in Israel. Emirati female to study.
I'm bored, are you?
Thank you so much for that. It was amazing.
I'm
Cori,
really bored.
Cori, thank you for what you do. And how in the world did you even get started with thinking about doing that?
I told this in podcast, but in 2011,
Yeah, we
I was writing my thesis, and I was
hop
looking
off.
at...
I want to go to Rebecca Barsett's video.
Yeah, let's do that.
I still, unless you want to stop, because
No,
I still have another hour to go.
Yeah, I'd rather go to her video because it's really boring.
Okay, but when we change the spelling of Cori's name in your title.
Oh,
Like, make sure the spelling is right.
how's it spelled?
I think it's a C instead of a K.
C. We need to get a good thumbnail because.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Rebecca Barseth. Rebecca.
Yeah. So, her video about.
We need to get also like shorter clips to comment on because like these get really drawn out and boring. Do you know what I'm saying? Like.
Right. Right. Well, let's see. She was talking. That's true. It does get a little long. She has a video negotiating with the devil.
Oh, okay. Let's go see that video. Her.
It's like her live. It's a live.
Okay.
Negotiating with the devil.
Negotiating with the devil. Yosef and Hamza. 1 second. It's older. Not even a week. Did I get debunked? Thou shalt murder Islamic morality. Did I get debunked?
No, there's one there. No, it's the one. It's on her. It's her latest live.
How could it be? Why can't I find?
Go to live. You see Yusuf and Hamza, part of the 34 hostages set for release.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello everybody, how you all doing? I hope you are doing well. Actually, today...
You might need a floor in some parts, but...
You know what?
Okay. Just let me know.
And also put it on quicker.
Okay, so I'll tell you stories while we're waiting for people to join. And yes, like the title says, there was a body recovered from Gaza that was supposed to be released in a hostage deal or whatever that Hamas had said, yeah, sure, we're going to release somewhere. It wasn't those that were given by Hamas. And surprise, surprise, that was a body. it's kind of interesting that in that list that they've given, they've only mentioned the father's name, even though it was the son and the father that were held together. And I don't understand if both bodies were covered or just the father's body that was on the list. And the other one was just announced dead, or is the body there? It looks like they're like contradicting information, but it looks like
She has such big eyes, you know? Like, such big eyes. Big Jewish eyes. Big Jewish brown eyes.
both bodies were covered, son and father, who are Bedouins, aka Muslims, that were being held by Hamas. And a couple of days ago, right, they had this article saying, hey, this is the list, and the father was in the list. So 2 days ago, it seemed like he would be released. And yesterday, his body was recovered. So the fact is, it was clear all along that there's one detail that Hamas just would not confirm, and that is that the people they're offering are actually alive. Yeah, because guess they're not. Guess they are. There also was a tweet by a Gazan person who was like, hey, why don't we just give them a list of names, and whoever we're going to give them just, before we release them, then they're going to get only bodies. Yeah, they are super smart indeed, thinking that plan is genius. How about we give them back the hostages, but we just take care of them before we give them back? I mean, the Gazans, their IQ is so high, you can understand why they're in the situation they're at, thriving and like celebrating life.
She has a wicked sense of sarcastic humor. Like, wow. She can roast people.
Living the
Cherries,
best way possible. Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, at the same time, there are so many people here that are like trying to pressure the government to have an hostage deal, and this.
I don't know if I can listen to all this.
I don't know if how much you care about things that are going to be private. By the way, oh, who's here? Can you hear me? Is everything good? Needs to sound good.
Do you want to like go to like a anti-Jewish website where they have like, I found these YouTubers that are anti-Israel. So they go to the West Bank and they make up a story.
Oh yeah, you could do whatever. I'm just doing what I do. Like you do whatever you're interested
It's like,
in.
I don't know what
unless you want to
to.
stop. Unless you want to stop the live, and we could just talk. But I'm saying, like, I'm just doing my stuff. So you choose what you want to do.
We need to find better. We need to find better things like things to discuss, right? That are not boring already. You know what I mean? Anyway, fine. Let's end the live, and then we'll just talk whatever.
Okay, so let's end this.
Okay.